Not the first time we're talking about prenups and how they could very well end the relationship even before they get married, right?
Yeah, and this one is kind of unique in a way. And so it's a friend of a friend, and she wants me to tell this story because she's curious as to what other women would do if they found themselves in this situation. So she's been with this guy for 3 years, and he asked her to marry him.
Yay!
Congratulations, right? It's important to note he has 3 children from a previous relationship.
Okay.
She doesn't have any children.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were initially going to get married, prenup came up. And he has a lot of properties. Some she knew about, some she didn't. And that's kind of where this is going. So when the prenup came up, he said...
Who brought up the prenup? Do we know?
She did.
Okay.
But she brought it up to say... I don't want you to feel like it's a problem if you want to have one.
Okay.
Okay.
His response was, don't need one. Like, done. Done and done. That was it. So about a year goes by after that conversation, and it never comes up again. And they are now, like, I guess, getting closer to the goal of, let's set the date. Let's make this official. Let's do what we got to do.
They're in the throes of wedding planning.
Right. So he's studying to become something in his profession. He has to take like a test in order to level up. And she was cleaning up and she found one of his study books. I guess he has study books like around the house. And when she went to pick it up, she was putting it away. Some papers fell out. And it just so happened that the top paper was a prenup.
That's the universe.
Could be, right? So she looks at it and she realizes that it is like it's been printed out. But it's been printed out with her information, like, on the paper.
So it's not like a generic prenup. This is specifically with her name on it and his name. So it was for them.
And she also knew that it had to be somewhat recent because apparently they've moved in together within the last year. And so everything was updated. So it's not like this is old. It's fairly recent.
Ah, damn, bro.
So she held on to this information for as long as she could, for about a week or so, not exactly knowing what to do. She went to friends, she went to family, and everyone was telling her, listen, you're going into a marriage with this guy. You have to bring this up. You have to communicate. You have to be honest with each other. And so she finally approached him about it. Now, initially, his response was, I printed that stuff out at some point in case I needed it, but I had no, plans on actually following through with it, which is why I didn't bring it to your attention.
But it had all the up-to-date information with where they're living and everything else, right?
Which was her response.
Okay.
And so obviously that doesn't make a lot of sense. So at that very moment, he got a call. He had to go. It was convenient. And then they never really got around to it. So then a couple days ago, she finally brought it up again. Are we going to finish this conversation? Which he was obviously avoiding. And that's when she cornered him and said, look, man, let's not do this. It's all updated information. This is not how that works. I know more than you think I do. Just come clean. So that's when he came clean. And his thing was, so the 3 children, I guess he has quite a bit of property in Florida and in other places. He kept some of that from her because if something happens to him, then he wants that property to go to his children and the mother of his children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's understandable.
Which is understandable. And she wasn't mad about that. Once he broke it down, she was like, I get it, but he lied. That's her issue. She feels like, why couldn't you just tell me that? And of course, it goes into what else are you not telling me or what else can you not tell me?
Yeah.
So now she's stuck because he's like, I promise you that's all there is. There's nothing else to it.
Was he just worried of her reaction?
I believe so. And so that's why he didn't tell her.
And she was the one that initially brought up the prenup, and he's the one that said, nah, we're not going to need that.
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
So he had every opportunity to bring this situation to the table, but he chose not to. And I mean, I don't know if she would have ever known. Or I guess at some point she would have had to sign it. I don't know how that whole thing works.
Well, yeah, she has to sign it.
I don't know what his end game was. Maybe he was just waiting to the last minute. I don't know, but...
Ooh, that's a good question to ask. Who was about to walk down the aisle and then all of a sudden their significant other presented them with a prenup?
Yeah, before you take another step, will you sign this?
That's how she feels.
It's a little late, yeah.
So she's like, I don't know what, she genuinely doesn't know what to do because she loves him. She wants to marry him. There's not any other issues, but this one is not sitting well with her.
I mean, I don't blame her,
He just done messed up.
Yeah.
But she's looking at this like, well, if he could lie about this and he's going to handle it this way, is this the way our marriage is going to be? And
after 3 years, if this is the one and only time that she's caught him in like a legitimate lie, and I wish when she had been like, hey, found this in your study book. And he was like, I didn't want a prenup. And then after you brought it up, I started thinking about it. And, this is, and he just like, bleh, then it would have saved a lot of heartache. I don't know why he kept on feeling like the need to drag it out. It does raise a red flag, though, that in the future, if there are issues in the relationship or something needs to be brought to attention, he's just going to kick that can down the road and not address it.
Yeah,
and it's going to turn into something bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah, they got to turn this into something more positive right here, right? Like a learning lesson. Okay, this is not the way I'm going to handle our relationship.
Yes.
And chances are pretty good this is the only time that this has happened. So I think that she's got to give him a little grace here.
That's what I was thinking, too. I mean, I get how your knee-jerk reaction would be, let's delay the wedding. I'm not sure, but like I said, if it's been good up until that point, that's the only thing. I don't think she should call off the wedding.
Yeah.
The Bert Show.
Like what you just watched? Well, you can get way more of The Bert Show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.